The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios.
Hi, this is Mia Mosinzia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios and sponsored by international award-winning author Mia Mosinzia of Missing. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on over 40 podcast platforms, as well as hamiltonradio.net, Diamonds FM, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We can be heard in over 100 countries, featuring over 1,000 well-known and amazing guests throughout the globe. And named one of the top 100 global podcasts in the New York Weekly Times, Hollywood Entertainment News, Los Angeles Weekly Times, Apple, and Chartable. So sit back and relax and enjoy another great episode of the award-winning Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios and brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mia Mosinzia Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We're here with a terrific lady who's a professional speaker, teacher, trainer, author, and a business consultant of public speaking and interpersonal communication with a bachelor's of science from University of California, Santa Barbara, and also a master's in speech communication from Cal State Northridge, and has a degree in sociology as well. And she's also a TEDx speaker about breaking cultural differences. We'll find more about that. Also started a program called Read Out versus Strike Out to stop the school violence as well. And she's also got a book called A Message for Tomorrow's Leader, and also a couple of books as well too. Live, ladies and gentlemen, at Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Los Angeles. The amazing professional speaker, teacher of public speaking, trainer, author, and business consultant. And we'll talk about the book, A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders. And if you're a leader, this is a must listen. Ladies and gentlemen, multi-talented Rosalyn Kahn. Rosalyn, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh my God, such a warm introduction. I'll have to have you carry with you all the time so you can get all those things and add a few more too.
Well, if you're a tomorrow's leader, feel free to take from me. I don't copyright this. I'll let you have it for free. It's perfectly okay. You can just mention my name. That's it. We'll make a deal on that one. So
thank you, Mr. Mike Wagner. It's a pleasure and honor to be on your show. And I've heard wonderful things about the show that you have and the following that you have with all the different shows that you carried on. It's a pleasure and honor to be one of your distinguished guests. Amongst the football players and all those others, speakers have things to say too.
And certainly indeed too, with thousands of guests, and you're added to my wonderful list. And you're a professional speaker, teacher, trainer, author, business consultant of public speaking. You also interpersonal communication with bachelor's degree from University of Santa Barbara, and also master's in speech communication from Cal State Northridge. You also are a TEDx speaker about breaking the cultural differences, and you started a program called Reach Out or Strike Out to stop the school violence. You also had a couple of books called Dogs and Roses, Random Acts of Kindness Are Changing the World. And we'll talk about your new book, A Message for Tomorrow's Leader, which is very important if you're a leader. And before getting on it, Rosalyn, tell us how you first got started.
Way back long ago, I was one of 7 kids, and I always wanted to get my word in edgewise. So that was kind of important. That was a joke just to play on words.
I'm like that. It's okay.
It's kind of funny when I think back of where I've been. I remember I was in this group called Frontier Training, and I told them I'd given a TED, and they kind of made me feel like the little guy. Right. And I said, well, wait till you see what goes on and happens. And someone said, if there's a Midas out there, there's that other person who goes ahead and tries harder and keeps on going. And that's been the story of my life is you say I can't and I say I can. And so that kind of started me off. I was involved in the TEDx world through a friend of mine as a public speaker. And there was an organization called American Society of Training and Development. And he called me up one day and said, hey, you got to come out to this thing called TED. I said, what's TED? Not a teddy bear. No, not a teddy bear.
or Ted Turner. So
Yep. So he invited me out to the TED arena. And as I sat in the audience, I sat just like you and looking at each and every speaker. And I said, I want to be just like that one right there. And I could tell you, 3 to 5 of those speakers that I remember who spoke on that stage back then. And I said, I wanted to be there. And he said, well, there's a thing or two. we can have you over on next Saturday. There's a training, training about what we're doing to prepare for the next TED. And for a year long, every Saturday, there I was. And you got to know people's lunch patterns, their break patterns, and who they were and what they were all about. And no sooner had we did our TED, and I was the person who helped pick the speakers and figure out who they were. And kind of one of the experiences that came out of that was the opportunity to go to all sorts of training and extra credit activities. And he'd always say, hey, you guys want to learn something else? And like another day besides Saturday, I have to go somewhere else. Well, as a youngster, you do everything you're told if it's all part of the volunteer world. And so I went down, and there was this gentleman named John Bates, and he was putting on this workshop of how to, get on that stage. And I sat in that audience on these little kindergartners chairs, and we went around and everyone said who they were. And I said, my name's Rosalyn. I've been a teacher in the community college for about 13 years and really love what I do. And this lady came and commandeered me on the break and said, you are going to work with me. Her name was Kat Haber, and she had done a bunch of TED Talks and introduced me to all these amazing, amazing speakers. And through that, I was able to get to coach a number of people. And one day, John had done a workshop where I actually got to give a speech, and I used that as my promo reel about how passionate I was as a teacher. And after I'd coached about the 10th or 11th one, I came home one night. It was Friday night, and the person was, let's just say, rather well-to-do. And on a Friday night, all he could do was give me water and send me home in Friday night traffic in Los Angeles.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, if that wasn't worth the curse, I don't know what was. And I threw up my hands. I said, that's it. No more. It's my turn. I'm tired of coaching these people. And so I later went on to a storytelling session here in Santa Monica. It was probably before the moth came to be. And I got up and I gave a speech about how passionate I was. And that was, I came home one night and I got a phone call, and this person said, we'd love to have you out in Thousand Oaks as a speaker. And I must have practiced that speech 24, 50 times, written it over so many different times, and even had John Bates go ahead and listen to me and give me some coaching for a few extra dollars here and there. And when I did the first one, I'd been in a meeting where there was all the coaches and things like that. And they came back to me and said, how would you like to be on our stage? And so they gave me a topic that I said, me and computers, technology, I don't think so. But, that's how the one about breaking cultural barriers came about. And the other one was a message for tomorrow's leaders. And I did one, and then the other one was about 3 months later, and they were both out in kind of the San Bernardino area. One was at West Covina High School, and the other was out in that same particular area. So it just happened to be they were almost every 3 years or something like that. And it was great to be on that stage. And I've coached quite a few people to get on that stage as well.
Wow, that is interesting. I think I'm ready for a TED Talk or something. But then again, it's just like, what does it take to be a TED speaker, or requirements, or getting in? It's like, what does it actually take in case somebody wants to be a TEDx speaker? Maybe give some advice, words of wisdom, or anything like that. It's like, how do I become a TEDx speaker?
Well, the first thing is you can't be on a promote your book tour. They don't want people who are out there selling or trying to sell their services or something like that. They want someone who has a unique and different experience, something that they've never heard of before, something that's new, something that's innovative. And actually, one thing that's really interesting is that having the experience of Toastmasters is a help, because you're used to speaking in a finite period of time. And there's the TED world and there's the TEDx world, and it's much easier to get on a TEDx stage than it is to get on a TED stage. Only less than 0.25% of the people actually make it out there. And usually it's a rather competitive process. You might know someone, but I've been on the TED stage a number of times, and I try and get on another one, and it's like, oh my God, it's a bear. They want people who haven't done it before. And then you can go to the people who charge you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and have it, this, that, and the other, but you're 5,000 out of the box, and so on and so forth. So have a message that you're passionate about. Make sure that you got the eye contact, that you adapt to the audience, have something that's never been heard before. And you'll get a coach once you work with the TED, and a lot of people have those extra coaches that help them out on the side. And that's kind of where I've come to be. You don't get paid to be on a TED stage. But they like to have people who are following, people who've got a message and can share it with the world. Just like you said, when you get it, go ahead and share it with the world. And those are a few of the things that I could suggest to someone. And it's watch a TED, volunteer, get involved with the organization, get to know some of the people, just like I had done.
And certainly indeed too. And you did your TED speaker about breaking cultural differences. You also started a program called Reach Out versus Strikeout. We'll talk more about that with amazing Rosalyn Kahn. But first, you listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews in Eve 11 and George by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forge Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com on over 40 podcast platforms. Heard in 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, also Apple Music, Odyssey, and Podbean, Pandora. Also, follow us and subscribe on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube. Follow us on all social media, including Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and more. Take us with you on any mobile device. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also t-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, spoon cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Check it out today and support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We hear the amazing professional speaker, trainer, author, business consultant, and teacher of public speaking, and also a TEDx talker as well, Rosalyn Kahn, here on the Mike Wagner Show. Before we talk about your book, A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders, and once again, for you leaders out there, pay attention. She's got a really good message, and you've done some TEDx speaking, and it's about breaking cultural differences, and maybe a bit more about that.
Cool. Okay. Well, breaking cultural barriers was an interesting talk I had done. It was a speech that talked about, everybody has a dream and a wish that they could make true. And I went and looked at 3 different people. One of them was the person who had begun the women's rights back in the 1800s and so forth, and put her name out there with throwing something into the ring. And she came away as the person who started the women's rights to vote, and that was really exciting.
Wow.
The next person was the Australian rower, who was from Australia and who banded together with the Americans and was never seen famous in his own country, but was the Americans who went ahead and lifted him to all his prominence. And the last one was the lady who sat on the stage with the bus. And we all know her story and how she stood up.
Oh, yeah. I remember that very well. That's been ingrained in my head since as a kid in school as well, teachers, and I'm sure that's going to be reinforced as well. It's like everybody's got to know that by now, Rosa Parks.
Yes, the Rosa Parks story. That is definitely the case, But all these people were rather well known, and it was how everyone could make a difference. And they didn't wake up and decide one day that they were going to make a difference. They were just their own individual selves, and they went out to make that happen. Mm-hmm. And so that's what the speech was about, and it was really motivating people to be that change leader in their society, to be that change leader in the society, and that they could go ahead and do it. Especially in our times that we see today, that there's so much animosity and hatred ingrained in our society today.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Boy, that just shakes me to the core every time I hear about that, and comparing to what it takes to be a leader, back in those days. What does it take to be a leader now, especially in these really crucial and critical and chaotic times?
Yeah, it's really tough. The book that I wrote was A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders. It makes a nice segue into that book, which is the third or fourth books. And that was written pre-pandemic times. We were in our classroom, and there was a program in the colleges I was at to go ahead and help the minorities stay in the college classroom. And so being a speaker and being in that world, I know a wide variety of different speakers from many different parts of life, and I decided to reach out to them and have them come as guest speakers. And I had my first one. His name was Coach Knock. He came to an inner city high school downtown, and as he spoke to the kids, he was telling his experience, how he'd gone down the wrong path. And the day before, there was a young kid who lost his life, and trying to bring the forces together and help guide him to the next plateau. And very shortly thereafter, we were in lockdown. And I decided to reach out to people I knew and said, go ahead and send me a story. And they all recorded it. And then I had them translated of what those stories were. And as the pandemic went on, there was the protests and the riots. And I decided, rather than just be a book about, increasing the minorities, I created it so it could be, the pandemic, the protests and the riots, and how did that affect what students did. And then in my classroom during that time, I got my students involved in making vision boards and doing other things to give them a positive mindset. And so the book is a combination of about 60 different interviews from people from all different walks of life, and their messages to kids on how they could live a better life.
Certainly did. And maybe a few people you can highlight as well too, with the leaders, or especially from the while, maybe a few that really stands out.
Well, a couple of the people that were in that book, there was a lady by the name of Kat Haber, and she was the one who was the person who got me into the TED world. There was another person whose name was John Bates, the guy that I'd gone ahead and worked with. There was a number of people I knew through Toastmasters and things like that. I don't know if a friend of mine, Mariel McKinley, might have been in that book. She was a lady who used to be on KFI Talk Radio and
Marielle
iHeartRadio.
McKinley. Okay, I think I remember the name. That sounds familiar. Marilyn McKinley.
Yeah, she was. iHeartRadio was the one that she was on. Probably some people from Toastmasters, and it's been a while since I picked up the book. I wish I could remember a few more of the names, but as time goes on, other things become of central focus, and that's what we get.
And certainly indeed. And of course, you got a flair for writing. You also did Random Acts of Kindness, or Chasing the World, and Dogs and Roses. I love that one. Tell us more about those.
Well, Dogs and Roses was a cool book. It came out of a time where I was a little depressed and a little out of it. And my coach asked me, what were the things that brought me happiness in the world? And I said, dogs and roses. And so he said, well, why don't you go ahead and look into deeper of that? And so I love taking pictures, as I'm always posting pictures I've taken of the concert I went to last night, of the thing I was at this morning with the composer's breakfast. And there's always pictures. But there's always a special place for those roses. And I find that when I'm unhappy or there's something that's bothering me, just looking into the buds of a rose can bring enormous happiness to me, enormous happiness. And the same with dogs. And so the book is combined with pictures I had taken of lots of dogs and lots of roses.
Wow.
And different stories that went along with it, of how to keep roses looking longer, and what it goes to make the rose parade, and how therapeutic they are, and things at the airport. And it almost was kind of like an advice book of caring for roses and different things like that.
I'm about to take lessons on that, because I buy my wife roses Valentine's Day, birthdays, anniversaries. I have to start playing them on the side of the house. I have to take some lessons on that one. Now you think about it.
Well, there's a certain thing that you need to do. And one of the things I remember is that roses have aphids, and you can, avoid those high expenditures by going ahead and taking just a bottle of water, putting a little bit of dishwater soap in it, and going out and spraying that. And if your roses turn colors, then you need to put that food, that's rose food, that'll keep them growing. Now, when you cut roses, it's really important that you change the water every day. That when you bring them home from the place and you've bought them, you want to trim the end so that it gets that fresh cut and it gets that water. And they say if you put a little bit of aspirin in, or some sugar in there, it'll help. And by changing the water every day, that helps keep them looking bright and cheery and so on and so forth. Don't put them in the sunshine and so on and so forth. And they say that plants react to us. So if you talk nicely to your roses, who knows? They might even live a little bit longer.
I like that. And what about putting in 7-Up or Sprite? I've heard about that one.
I've never heard about the 7-Up or Sprite, but I guess that must be the substitute for the sugar. Must be the substitute for the sugar there. As I said, sugar water and things like that. So you never know what you learn when you're on someone else's show.
Right, exactly. I was taught that long time ago that if a rose starts wilting or your flowers start wilting, wake up a little bit of 7-Up or Sprite as well, too. That's what I've learned. I'll probably get some roses as well, too. And you did Random Acts of Kindness, or they're basically just changing the world, and a bit more about that one.
Random Acts of Kindness was another interesting book. I had a friend in the TED world, and she told me there was this guy by the name of Tony Hsieh, and he was in Las Vegas, and he had this whole big thing that he had done about the random acts of kindness. And so I decided to go to Henderson, Nevada, and go to visit his company. I got to sit in the throne and be crowned for the day. I saw the wall of gratitude that had all the gratitude that was written in there, and they had Barbie dolls and little Tonka toys and different things. And the boss was in the Amazon, and the HR person was the guru in the center there. And it was such a memorable experience. I decided to take this experience of the random acts of kindness back to my school. When I took it back to the school, my students just loved it. And I said, well, what if we went out and did random acts of kindness? And we had done it for 5 or 6 times, and the students begged me to keep going ahead and doing it. And every day,
be kind to me, please.
and every day the stories would come back more powerful than the one before. And I would be sitting there reading them, and I felt compelled, whoever was around me, to share them with me. So I'd share them with strangers, I share them with teachers, and I shared them with a person who was in the administration and the college president. And the guy who was the VP said to me one day, oh, this is really great. There was a teacher at one of the other colleges who got his book in the bookstore, and he put this idea in my head that my book could be in the bookstore. Well, little did I know, several months later, he calls me from the hospital bed and leaves a message on my machine and says that he had a heart attack and got something from the headquarters. And the headquarters said, well, there could be a case that one of the people could sue you. And because of the potential lawsuits that's out there, we can't possibly allow you to go ahead and have this for sale and this, that, and the other. And so it became a his word versus my word. And my union said my classroom was my castle, and I could do whatever I wanted in my classroom. And so I was able to publish the book. And in there's kind of a life story. It says, one day the world was sour, and the next day there was a rose that went ahead and came out, and things went ahead and turned around. So if you go back and you read some of the stories in there, you'll see the unfolding of this saga, but the names are protected to know the innocent and so on and so forth. But it's a book about those. And it was the first book that I'd written, and got a lot of advice and feedback from it. And I was so happy. And when I was out there, that was a time where people would go into bookstores and do book signings and so forth. And it was a big bang. It was
Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh my gosh. And you've been writing for quite some time, I take it.
Oh yeah, that was the first one. And then I recently came out with another one, and it's the 25 Steps on Becoming a Speaker. It's a new book that's out on Amazon. And it's a book about my knowledge about the world of public speaking and tips that people can use to help themselves overcome that fear of speaking.
That is an interesting one. I'd like to have you back about that and more on a message for tomorrow's leaders as well, too. And of course, you've been writing for quite some time. And who are some of your favorite authors, writers, and books growing up?
Sorry?
Who are some of your favorite authors and writers growing up, and especially books?
Some of my favorite authors. Well, I really liked Irma Bombeck. She was quite a humorous person, I think, and she'd also written some books. I liked the book of the guy who was the teacher, Maury.
Mm-hmm.
Maury's his story was really impactful. And as a youngster, I grew up with scoliosis, and so I spent a lot of time off by myself, and I was in a body cast. And I think it was those times that I was writing as a youngster that encouraged and motivated me to further pursue the writing. There was always books that I was reading, whether it was the Nancy Drew or those other books that were out there, that kept me maintained and thrilled and motivated throughout the years.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. You also had done some motivating as well, too, starting a program called Reach Out versus Strikeouts to stop the school violence. And tell us a bit about that. You seem to be motivated on a lot of causes.
Yes, there's always something I'm concerned about. The time that one came out, I was with a lady who had a program, and her name is my mind is just a blank slate. There's so many different things going on.
Oh, that's perfectly okay. I'm sure it'll come up later. It's okay. It happens to the best of us. So even me.
Yep. She had a program, and she recently invited me to do a show with her. Raven Blair and Glover. And at the time, it was one of those first shootings of the kids who were out there. And I was so motivated by that. I decided that I wanted to work and create a program that was called, getting kids to talk about it versus going ahead and hurting one another. And I talked to the students in the colleges that I was at, that, we shouldn't beat each other up. We should form, understanding of one another and how we could create and do that with one another. And that's kind of how that began. I connected with a number of people who were in that realm and got some information from theirs. And they talked about workshops they had done where there was a kid who was really the center of the problem, and they brought him up stage, and he was talking about he lost his grandmother. Ooh. And how hard it was for him to lose his grandmother. And so he was hitting out and striking out on other kids. And the speaker said, well, how would you feel if you lost your grandmother? And all these kids came up and they said how sorry they were and how sad they were. And so sometimes it's just understanding where the person is coming from and the problems and challenges they've dealt with that helps you see really what's on the other side.
Mm-hmm. And certainly as well, too, having some kindness, compassion, and everything. And of course, this will apply to tomorrow's leaders and how can they navigate it? And what is the message for tomorrow's leaders? We'll find out just 1 minute with Rosalyn Kahn. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios, and brought to you by official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mia Molson Missing. We'll be back with the author of the book, A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders, Rosalyn Kahn, after this time out.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamoshenzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Ray Powers, and boy, are you in luck. Right place, right time. Tuned in to The Mike Wagner Show. You heard me.
We're back to amazing multi-talent Rosalyn Kahn of A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders here on The Mike Wagner Show. And just lastly here, and let's drive this point home. What is the message for tomorrow's leaders?
The message for tomorrow's leaders is that you really need to stand up and get together with the people that you know, the people with you love, and how we can help one another. Because today's kids are really going through some tough times and situations. And I've heard in an organization today is that we really need to bring people together on a common goal instead of separating people from their differences, to see how we can all unify one another And, through the leadership, through the communication, through the talking is really what we need to do to make a difference in the world we live today.
Certainly indeed. And where can we find a message for Tomorrow's leaders and all your books at, Rosalyn?
All my books can be found on amazon.com. They're available in ebooks and they're available in the softback covers. And there's even one of them that's an audio book. And that is the book, A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders, which I was really excited to go ahead and do. It was quite a process. And I even got to be the person who actually used my own voice to make that happen. that was really exciting.
Oh my gosh, that has to be exciting. Definitely a leader right there. We're all looking forward to it. Encourage everybody to get the audiobook as well. We're here with Rosalyn Kahn of Message for Tomorrow's Leaders here on the Mike Wagner Show. And just a few more things besides 25 steps to becoming a speaker. What else can we expect in 2024 and beyond, Rosalyn?
Well, it's really exciting, talking about writing. I've actually begun doing some writing myself. Working for a magazine, and one of them is called In Flight Magazine. It's a newspaper about airplanes that many people will see in small planes.
Oh, wow.
And another magazine that is oriented to the older population, and it is a magazine that I will remember the name in a few moments. It's really a great magazine that has lots of stories about seniors and things like that, about what happens with the senior population and things like that. So it's really good. I wrote an article that was talking about the pandemic and what happened in the pandemic, and what happened in the not in the pandemic. It was talking about the eclipse that we recently had. And from that eclipse.
Yeah, I think that was it last month, 2 months ago or something like that.
Yeah, the eclipse that went ahead and happened. We went down to Austin, Texas, Dallas, Texas, and we got to see it in a place called Marble Falls. And it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. And I had another experience where I got to go to a training for an airplane company, a safety training, and they invited me back and have that article up and coming.
Nice.
I was also at a program that was called There's Too Much Culture in the World, and that'll be up in that upcoming magazine and so forth.
That's certainly amazing.
It's called Born to Age is the name of that magazine.
Born to Age. That's interesting. Where can we find that at?
Well, Born to Age it's a magazine that's here in Southern California, and it's actually up in Northern California, but I'm sure if they wanted to get it in your area, I could let them know that you've got a market out there to help seniors in your area, and they'd be excited to know of another market they could expand it to.
Oh, well, that'd be great as well, too. And of course, I'm thinking more online as well, too. We'll get to more of that as well. We're here with the amazing Rosalyn Kahn of Message for Tomorrow's Leaders here on the Mike Wagner Show. And just a couple of things. Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Well, there's lots of people who influence me in my career, and the one person I always go to is a person I knew from the Frontier Training. His name was Daniel Tyler Ponke, who rests in heaven at this point. And as he sat me down and I didn't know where I was going in the world, he said, "You have all the tools to be everything that you want to be. You can make it happen." And he instilled in me that confidence that I too can make whatever I want, my destiny and my desire to absolutely come true.
Oh my gosh, that's certainly amazing. That is.
And that is.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
and that is the person who's been the biggest influence in my life. And I owe a lot of gratitude to him.
And certainly indeed as well, too. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Well, I would say that, don't take yourself too seriously. Every day is a new opportunity to go ahead and give gratitude, to be respectful and responsible. I just read an article on LinkedIn, and so I can share that article because it's close, and it was talking about the power of sleep. And
yeah, you better stay awake on this one, guys.
Yeah, Dr. Brian Bruce had said, I posted it on LinkedIn. The number one thing is you need to wake up the same time every day. Number two is you don't want to have alcohol before you go to sleep, because alcohol goes ahead and keeps you up. You want to make sure that you exercise 3 to 4 hours before you go to sleep. When you wake up in the morning, you want to sit up straight and tall. You want to drink 20 to 30 ounces of water, and to allow the sunlight to go ahead and hit your face and sit there for 15 minutes so that makes sure that you're wide and awake. And it's having those consistency of those patterns of always going ahead and getting up, not, we don't sleep in on Sunday, but getting up those same time every day and making sure that you get up and you get out of bed and so on and so forth. And that seems like some really good advice to share to people. You can be anything that you want. Just go ahead and visualize it, look at it each and every day, and you can make those dreams and reality come true.
That is a really good idea. I'm going to have to try that sometime. 15 minutes of sun on my face and 30 ounces of water. I'm going to have to try that sometime. So I'm sure it'll make a difference. We're here with the amazing Rosalyn Kahn of A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders here on the Mike Wagner Show. Rosalyn, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We love to have you back. And also just forgot to ask you, what's your website? And also, how do people contact you? And what can people purchase or check out your books?
Okay, well, people can follow me on my website. It's rosalynkahn.com. I'm on all social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the same things. They can, get my books on Amazon, and they can send a message to me on all social media. And who knows, maybe if they send me a message, I can work out. They might get a 10-minute appointment with me to help them work out on their speech or something like that if they mention your show.
That'd be great. That'd be so wonderful. And how do people become get more information being a TEDx talker?
Like I said, is just contact me on my social media and send me a message, and that message will come to me. Any of my social media, they can reach out to me, rosalynkahn.com, and send me a message, and I'd be happy to do that. That's Rosalyn. Last name is Kahn.
Rosalyn Kahn. And once again, the website for everybody, especially for tomorrow's leaders?
It's rosalynkahn.com. You'll see all the books that are listed up there, and you can go to Amazon and you can purchase those books as well.
All right, we'll certainly do that. Once again, Rosalyn, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We love having you back. We wish you all the best. And Rosalyn, you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Thank you.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamoshenzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show. Brought to you by international award-winning author Mia Mohsen-Zia of Missing. And powered by Sonic Web Studios. Be sure to join us again on over 40 podcast platforms. And of course on the MikeWagnerShow.com, HamiltonRadio.net, and Diamonds FM. Don't forget to support our program with a generous donation at the MikeWagnerShow.com. Thanks for listening.